Well, it's our first page of notes for Unit 8 on South Asia, chapters 24 through 26. We're going to go to number 10 today. Just a little bit of an update. So on the Southwest Asia unit, there were 5 scores. Before I had mentioned 18 with nothing turned in, 32 with everything, then everybody else is in between. Now it's down to 15 that don't have anything, but up to 44 that do have everything, and then still others in between. So keep working on those and you'll do great. Okay. So of course our first chapter, 24, deals with the physical geography of this region. A dominating feature would be Mount Everest. It's the world's tallest peak at over 29,000 feet. It's part of the Himalaya mountain range, so the Himalayas would be considered the highest mountain range, and within that range, Mount Everest would be the tallest peak. Again, just a reminder, it's the highest point above sea level. It's not necessarily the tallest mountain from base to tip, but it is the highest point above sea level, so we say it's the tallest mountain. Kind of an interesting picture here. This is a shadow that's created by some of the mountains there in that range, and the world's second tallest is also in this range. It's called K2. So we may have talked about this earlier. You know, a trip to Mount Everest as a mountain climber, you know, it's not just some weekend excursion that you make. You have to plan literally years in advance, get the right permits, visas. It does cost a lot of money. You have to make arrangements and schedule the Sherpa guides. You have to have the equipment, and it is a time-consuming ordeal in order to be able to do that. I myself don't know if I would want to put myself in that much risk. It is very dangerous. There are people who die. In fact, there's probably over 200 people that have been killed or have died while trying to reach the summit of Mount Everest. And unfortunately, kind of a gruesome detail is that their bodies are still there. For people to try to get them down would put their own life in jeopardy. So, okay. So we call this area a subcontinent, a large landmass that is smaller than a continent, for example, the Indian subcontinent. And as I've taught geography for 30 plus years, I've never heard of any other area called a subcontinent other than India. So, but you can see it is a very large landmass. For this region, there's 3 great rivers. We have the Indus, the Ganges, and the Brahmaputra. The Ganges is a holy river for Hindus, and a problem with that river is it's over 1,500 miles long, but it's very dirty. There's sewage, there's industrial waste, dead animals, even human bodies, garbage, just all kinds of stuff that makes its way into that river. And there are efforts being made to try to get it cleaned up. The Ganges runs right along this area here. The Indus is over in Pakistan. Okay, an alluvial plain, rich farmland that's deposited by rivers. So as the rivers make their way down, they carry silt and sediment, and they can deposit that. And so you can see this whole area, some of the sediment out here, even though the water's here, would be part of that plain. All right, and archipelago is a group of islands. So for this unit, the Maldives, which is a little bit south and west of India, would be the Maldives. You started on your map last time, just those little dots at the bottom. So a group of islands is an archipelago. An atoll is a ring-like group of coral islands. So this would be the atoll or atoll. Again, kind of a ring shape there. And then a group of islands is the archipelago. The Hawaiian Islands in the United States would be an archipelago. In India, kind of the western part of the country, is the Thar or Great Indian Desert, one of the world's most arid regions. Then kind of contrasting that is the world's record for rainfall in a month is a place called Cherrapunji, also in India, and that's over 366 inches. Just trying to remember the math real quick. I believe that's about 30 feet. So that would be crazy if we were to get 30 feet of rain in our area. There'd be massive floods and dirt rolling out of the hills and rocks and trees, and it would be a total mess. But these areas that do receive a lot of rainfall, there's enough vegetation that it's not going to be a major problem. Anyway, that's just an amazing amount of rain. Okay, a monsoon, a seasonal wind that bring heavy rainfall or winds. Now, a lot of people think the rain is the monsoon, but it's the storm, the wind that brings the rain in that's actually called the monsoon. Cyclone, a violent storm with fierce winds and heavy rain. It should look very familiar to a hurricane, which it is. They have different names just mostly to differentiate where they take place. So a hurricane would be over in the Atlantic Ocean on our eastern coast, and a cyclone would be in the Pacific Ocean. But they're basically the same. Okay, storm surges, high water brought by a cyclone, and it can swamp low-lying areas. I know, for example, in this region, the country of Bangladesh, back in the 70s, I think it was, had a cyclone, and a lot of water made its way to the interior of the country, and I think around 300,000 people had been killed in that storm. An estuary is an arm of the sea at the lower end of a river. So there's an example of one right there in that picture. Okay, the Khyber Pass. So as you look at your map, up in the northwest would be Pakistan into Afghanistan. And there's a group of mountains that are quite rough. And the Khyber Pass is kind of a lower area where you can get from one side to the other. So that you can see the road there, and I mean, they had to carefully build the road and get through it, but it is a rough area, but a very important transportation link is the Khyber Pass. Oh, the Hindu Kush, that's the name of the mountain, sorry. Okay, in the south lies the Deccan Plateau. So here's the Indian subcontinent, here's the Deccan Plateau. That is flanked by the western and eastern Ghats. It's a set of mountains that run down the coast of India. So the eastern Ghats on the eastern side, western over here for the country of India. And that's page 1, so thank you.